Welcome back to another video. Another defeat for City on the road. Another defeat to Carlisle on the road. Since 1985 we haven't beat them. We've played them 9 different times during that spell. We've just won 4 games in our last 15. Lost our last 4. Where do these defeats lie? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. So where does this defeat lie? Another defeat for City. Who's at fault and what are your thoughts? Again, let me know in the comments down below. We played a Carlisle team who haven't won in the last 3 games, so now they've ended that spell. They've also only won 4 games in the last 11. Now they've won 5 in the last 12, so they might go on a better run. We've dropped to 8. We're still in 8th, but we're getting closer away from the top 3. It looks like we're going to have to try and set up for playoffs if that's the best outcome we get this season. I don't mind a game at Wembley now and then, but it's also the hardest way to go up. But yeah, we played against a Carlisle team that weren't really in form, although they're still up there like us. They played alright. I mean, all the teams we play against aren't really anything special. The only teams who were quite good were Northampton and Dorey, and we played Stevenage. I think we won, and they weren't all special. So yeah, they lost, drew, lost, won, and drew in their last 6 games. So they weren't coming into on good form, but neither were we. We lost, won, and lost. So our bad one continues. We played against Reject FC. They've had 37 rejects or former players in the last 10 seasons. Obviously, none of them scored today. But I mean, we were poor. That first half, that's where we lost the game. Second half, we were much better, but at the same time, we were still off it. First half, we were lethargic. We looked laboured. We got sucked into playing their game, and then when we got towards the end of the half, we were a bit too slow on the ball, and we don't have a plan B. We have the same way of playing all the time. It's really predictable, and I think that the substitutions were poor as well. Something for Smallwood. I'll get into player ratings in a bit, but I don't think Smallwood should have been ironically cheered. I thought he was one of the better players, but still weren't at it. But I think the substitutions were a bit odd. Sutton for Smallwood. Sutton, who hasn't played in what seems like months. He's just a part-time sub-appearance player who don't do a lot when he comes on, but he runs around a lot. Oliver up front to go up with Cook. As soon as that happened, it's like, right, we're going direct. I don't know why he brought Isu off, apart from the fact that maybe we're just being a bit precautionary with him with his injuries, but he was one of the bright sparks. But yeah, we don't create enough chances, and when we do, it's half chances, and we're trying to create some out of the half chance. Even early on in the season, to be honest, when we were winning, Cook were feeding off scraps and he were putting them away, whereas now, with the scraps that he's getting, he ain't putting them away. He missed a couple of 2, maybe 3 really good chances where he probably should have scored. But the promising sign in that second half was he were getting touches on the ball, holding the ball up well, and he won't convert his chances, but he were getting into good areas to try and convert them. You'll always get good work rate with him, but last season was a bit off the pace, but it was a bit like last season in this game for Cook, because chances weren't falling for him like they were earlier in the season. But yeah, I think we're really poor today. I think there's only a handful of players who you look at and said they get a decent recognition out of the game. But I think a lot of it does lie on Hughes, because we're playing the same way all the time. I don't think it's necessarily the formation, but I think we need to change the way we play up a bit. We're passing too slow, and then when we do play it too fast, the game gets it goes in favour of the opposition. One thing I'm seeing a lot is when our centre backs have the ball, they don't press us, and then when we try playing to midfield, Gillian and Smallwood, they're not players who really want the ball to take off the back line, so it just gets all jumbled up, and the way we play suits other teams in League 2. We don't have a plan B, and we need to work at getting a plan B. Obviously, it's Hughes' first full season. A lot of managers haven't had a full season in the last few years. There's not many I can think of. I think it might have even been Stuart McCall in 16-17. because it's very hard to try and think of a manager who had a full season. So I think we have to be a bit patient. I'm certainly not calling for Hughes to go, and I think we're a long way off from that. But results have to pick up quick, because there's a big demand if you're manager of Bradford City, and there's a big demand if you're a player of Bradford City. And you've got to be able to handle the expectation. And recently, the performances have dipped and the results have dipped. And we've got a quick turnaround playing on Thursday against Harrogate, another bogey team like Carlisle, and we've got to pick up with a win there. But yeah, on to the player ratings. Harry Lewis gets a 7. Made a few good saves. Passing out wasn't as good as it has been in the season, but again, he still made some really good saves. That free kick stands out with the fingertips, unbelievable save. A few that were a bit closer to him, but still good reflexes. He's a really good goalkeeper, and even if, well, like you'd expect from your goalkeeper, if he hadn't been good, he still manages to pull out them saves and keep the team going. But that's another thing. When we conceded, and a few saves that Lewis made, or a few chances that they didn't take, they had 2 sitters I can recall from in the 6-yard box that they should have scored. When they have a big chance, there's no one in that penalty box, no one in that team who's pulling the team together and motivating them. And I mean, people would probably look at Smallwood there and say, right, well, where are you? You should be picking the team up. You're the captain, you're the leader. But there's 2 different types of captains. There's a few different types, but the 2 main differences of a captain is you've got the one captain who is the leader, the motivator, the player who drives the team. But then you have another captain who leads on and off the pitch with the performances, but also, they're just a good role model for the younger players, and that's what Smallwood is more with the 2. And I know which one City fans would rather have as the captain, but in the last few years we haven't had that. But I don't have a problem with Smallwood, but as a team, they looked a bit disjointed today, and I think a few of the players could have just tried and picked the team up, and there were no one doing that today. And you could pinpoint it on Smallwood, you could pinpoint it on him, but as a team they didn't look together, which is something I didn't think I'd be saying back when you're watching the summer camp videos and all the other videos. The team look together, they look united, they look like they're mixing together, and there might be, but on that pitch they seem to go in themselves, and not selfish, but they don't seem to be together on the pitch, and it's a big worry that when we've seen so many teams who they might be confident off the pitch, they might seem together off the pitch, but on the pitch to go hiding, and is the expectation getting too big for them, which we've seen many seasons in League 2 and the last couple in League 1 as well. But into the defence, Allardy gets a 7, man of match as well, because he made a few really good tackles. He's growing into a really good player, and he's the only player in these last few games who, when we've been poor, who's got some recognition and can come out of it. With their head held high, even though we aren't playing well, there's a couple, him, Lewis, Cook still getting involved whilst feeding off scraps. There's only a handful of players, there's only about 2 or 3, who can come out of these games and say, I've done alright, and Halliday's one of them. He's man of match, few good tackles, and gets stuck in, and going forward he's getting a bit better, and he's developing into a good player, and he's looking like an experienced right back. I think he's, how old is he, 26, 27, coming towards his peak years, and I'm looking forward to seeing him more, because every game he's looking better and better. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the player ratings in the comments down below as well, if you disagree or agree with me. Into defence, Platt gets a 6 and Critchlow gets a 6. We only conceded 1, there were a few chances that they could have took. Actually, I'm going to give them both 5s, because when you look at that back line, it did look a bit weak. There were chances coming left, right and centre. They could have scored 3, 4, maybe 5 goals. They had a few good chances that they missed, and I think the midfield did look a bit disjointed with the defenders, but also the defenders have to take a bit of accountability as well. I don't think it was their best game. Platt hadn't had a few good games, and we blamed it on the partnership. But Critchlow's come back in the team, and again he looks a bit dodgy recently, so I'm going to give them 5s. On to Falsey, he gets a 5 as well. I think over the last few games, a month or 2 ago, we were saying he's quite underappreciated. He's quite a good player. 6 or 7s every week is decent. But recently you've seen that, you know, he lacks a bit of quality going forward. And defensively, he looks a bit uncomfortable when someone's running at him. So you can see he's dropped off, so he gets a 5 as well. Onto midfield, I think Gilead, he gets a 6 because he's had a slightly better game from recent, but it shows how poor he's been in the last few games. Maybe the break's done him a bit of good, but he's been really poor against Northampton, Orient, all the last few games, probably since Salford, where Ryan East played. Since then, he's come off a cliff, and this game he were better, and hopefully he does get better. He was picking up some good positions, driving with the ball, and having a bit more of an impact on the game. But still, he ain't the right partner for Smallwood, and I think Hughes has to look at that. I think he has to go, right, well, what? Yeah, so he goes, the benefit of the team, do I put Ryan East in there with Smallwood, or do I just take Smallwood out and suit someone for Gilead? But I think, you know, if managers have favourites, and obviously one of his favourites is Gilead and Smallwood, but you can't put two players in the team who don't fit each other's style of play. Smallwood is not a ball playing midfielder. He ain't gonna be someone who drops deep and sprays passes across the pitch, Hollywood passing, plays it forward every time. He ain't gonna be that player. And I think a few of our fans have got a bit mixed up with that, thinking he's a box to box who's going to be shooting from distance, going to be scoring long shots, Hollywood passing, brilliant at passing, and he gets his foot stuck in. He's a ball winning midfielder, and he needs someone next to him who will take the ball off the back line and who's good on the ball, like a Ryan East, or maybe an Osadebe, who hopefully will be back soon, is having a good recovery, which is good to see after that awful challenge early on in the season. But yeah, obviously I think Smallwood needs a better partner. I don't agree with him. I don't agree with ironic cheers when someone's coming off or someone getting booed. That's just me. If you do, let me know in the comments down below what if you did or what. But I don't really agree with that. But at the same time, I thought he was one of our better players. He always wanted the ball, which is what you want your captain to do. Take responsibility, go on the ball, made some good tackles, and that's what you want him to do. But he needs someone next to him who suits the style of play, and it ain't Gilead. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Smallwood in the comments down below, because he's becoming quite a bit of a split divider. Maybe a bit like Elliot Watlaw did last season, but it's at 7 from me. So into the attack. It's a weird one because Isa had a pretty good game. I'd give him a 7. White looked a bit out of it. He were doing bits. So I'd give him a 5 because naught came of the good he did do, but then he went missing in parts of the game. And I'd give Chapman a 5 as well because again, when he had the ball and he were looking to do something with it, naught came off. And then when he went missing in the game a bit too much as well, so I'd give him a 5. And then Cook's a weird one because he's had some good chances in the game, although there were half chances, which he didn't take, which were early on the season. But then he were getting in the positions, he were holding the ball up well, and his overall play were quite good. So I'd give him a 6 average. But yeah, that it won't. The team, like I said earlier, it won't together. The defenders looked. They were looking at the midfielders and thinking, why aren't you tracking back more? Why are you sitting in front of us? Why are you protecting us? The midfielders weren't giving the ball to the attackers effectively or in passing the ball to a capable standard, and the attackers just looked out the game too much. So the team just looked disjointed today, and hopefully we pick up against Harrogate with 3 points. I'm not going to go with the subs because they made no impact on the game whatsoever, but I think the key points from that game is he needs to change somewhat for Harrogate. Whatever he changes, whether it's formation or not, want him to change that. I don't think it's particularly a problem. I won't be against it if he went 3-5-2. You know, somewhat different. Keep just something different because we're too predictable at the minute. Whether he goes 4-4-2, which wouldn't work, but a lot of the fans like it, or whether he sticks to his guns and go 4-2-3-1, but he changes somewhat tactically because something has to change in that system. In these next few games, because we need points, we need them quick. We've got Harrogate, Salford, I think Stockport coming soon as well. We've got some big tough games coming up, and we need points and we need them fast. and we need to. We can't fall away like we have in previous seasons. We have to stay hunting in them playoff places. We forget about the top three. That's over. Now we've just got to stay in the playoffs till the end of the season. I think playoffs would be a good achievement. When you look at the top three, well, not an achievement, but it's a good standard. We've achieved our expectation of getting in the top 7, which is what we haven't done in the last 4 seasons or so. But when you look at the top 3, no one's really going to challenge them this season. It's a bit of a different season. But we've got to try and get some out of this season. And if we don't go up, for me, it's not the end of the world. We go next season, that's the big season. Because we need a bit more stability. We've got new coaches in, we've got Mark Hughes in, and we need to be a bit more. We need more stability. We've had too many managers changing, too many sackings behind the manager as well. We need this stability. If it don't go right this season, we don't go up. We need to stick with Hughes again and give him another transfer window. It's his first season in League Two. It's not the end of the world if we don't go up, but we do need to. But at the same time, we need stability. And for me, if we get playoffs and go to a final and we lose, I'd keep Hughes. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. If we don't go up this season, but we go to Wembley, would you keep Hughes? Is it the end of the world if we don't go up this season? Let me know in the comments down below. But they're the 3 big points. We need to change some next week. Whether it's East, whether it's a tactical change, a formation change, or whether it's a different change. We need a bit of change because we're too predictable and teams are finding it too easy against us. Like I said, we've lost our last 4. We've got 5 wins in our last 7, and we've won 4 out of our last 15. That's since October the 1st. And you know, you could go and find some worse stats if you like, but the truth of the matter is that we're falling away and we need to pick up soon. Have a good one.